LSU Odyssey in the house.
So begins our odyssey, and we begin our odyssey, and so begins our odyssey. The audio is bleeding, and the boyish voices leaving. I bet an evil tenor, through the innocence, don't eyes with blue. You're my only softness, you're my only pleasure. It's true, and I never want to be your little friendly abject failure.
What's up, everybody? Should that be our new intro music? Right there. So begins our Alibi by of Montreal, the great band of Montreal. One of Chelsea's favorite bands, one of my favorite bands as well, probably top 25 at least. And if you ever have a chance to see that band live, of Montreal, take it, because you will not regret it. Of Montreal have such great songs, you will be like, wow, how has this band been hidden from me? They're a band that's been around since like 97, and they're all just one guy, Kevin Barnes. He constantly evolves this thing, shifts this thing, sometimes with the involvement of his brother, who does like the cover art and does a lot of weird live sketch type stuff for them, like the Candyman. Like when we saw them last, they do so many weird damn things live. Of Montreal, they're a band that I highly recommend. That's who we're playing in the intro here. So begins our Odyssey. And so here we begin our Odyssey today. Look at where we are. We are in the middle of the ocean, much like last time we did this. Let's get rid of this. If we get rid of the virtual background, it'll show this. No virtual background. There we go. See that? Look at that. Into the vast expanse. Into the vast expanse. What's up, everybody? So, yeah, LSUODYSSEY.COM, we put up an article just the other day, actually written in 2 hours while Sage and Chelsea took a nap. And as you know, if you've ever been on one of these cruises, you can shut this thing, and it's like you could sleep for like 5 days straight. Really, seriously, you could sleep forever with that thing shut. And so we shut that thing, and Chelsea and Sage just went down for the count from like 12:30 or something, 12-ish noon, clear till like almost 4. And in that time, we had written and we had edited and we had put the photos in, and we were ready to post this thing by like dinner time, and had it out. And I don't know about you, but for me, going on a vacation at this time of year with LSU football, you're like, God, some more has got to go on, right? We got to cover something. There's something we're lazing on. We're not doing. Well, I mean, outside of the Trey Holly thing, it's been a very quiet off season, which is really rare for us at LSU, right? That's just something we're not used to. We're used to drama, players going left, right, and center. Well, like, for once, it's not like that. And I think that's a good thing for LSU football. I mean, we've had little doses of that the last few years under Brian Kelly, of like, wow, this can actually be just all business. fantastic. And so, someone in the media like myself who's like, "Oh God, I'm not doing my job. I've got to cover this. I've got to cover that. What am I doing?" When you go on a vacation of this nature, you feel like you're lazy because you're like, "What am I doing? What am I doing? I'm not putting this out. I'm not doing that. I'm not covering this." When in all actuality, there's really not much going on. There's a few things here and there behind the scenes. Some stuff I cannot tell you. Some stuff I can. Some stuff that even if I told you right now, it would be like, okay, well, that player will probably recover from that in 2 or 3 months anyway, or whatever's going on. So it's there's some things that have happened with winter workouts, but really not much outside of guys proving themselves as leaders. Will Campbell. We have made a point to say this in our articles, our preview articles, because it goes with continuing. Will Campbell is the leader of this team. Will Campbell, this is his team. Like, you can say Garrett Nussmeier, this is his team. Sure, he's the quarterback, of course. This is Will Campbell's team. Like, this is his freaking team. This dude is driven. He is so just he is extremely ready to dominate this season. And he's already been dominating, of course. We know this. But this is a dude who has really just physically wait until you see this dude. We already knew Will Campbell was a freak. We already knew Will Campbell was just huge, physically imposing, and he was always having a great season. He from the second he has stepped out on that field as a true freshman for LSU, he has been fantastic. Fantastic. And it goes without showing, we lose by 40 plus points, 30 plus points to Tennessee in the one game we don't have him, of course. Completely collapse. And then, of course, he comes back the next week and we dominate Florida on the road. So, Will Campbell, goes without saying, absolute freak. And it's really inspiring to see him after him and his family have gone through such a terrible loss with the loss of their cousin Tarver Braddock, who passed away tragically during a hunting cabin fire in Mississippi. And to see him be like, okay, I'm going to just dedicate the season to Tarver's memory, which he hasn't said that publicly, but let's be real here. He's obviously doing that. And it's really cool to see him be like, we're going to make sure Tarver's name is not forgotten with his foundation and his name. And you can bet on hearing Tarver's name in the future whenever Will is interviewed, whenever Will is put in front of a mic. He is going to continue to make sure that young man's name is not forgotten. The power of who that kid was at Neville. He was a Neville football player as well as a family member for the Campbell family. And, this is something I've said privately to them, but I'm just going to say it publicly as well. But to, Thomas Sr., Holly, and to Will and his brother Thomas Jr., my complete condolences for what's going on with Tarver and his passing. But to see Will going through such turmoil, one of the worst off seasons of his life, losing someone that close to him, and he just is like, okay, this is going to be my greatest season. That just shows you what this guy is all about. And it shows that, hey, like, it's just like what we wrote in our article just a 2 days ago. This is literally Kelly, like, these are the seasons Kelly recruited a Will Campbell, a Emory Jones, a Mason Taylor, a Harold Perkins. Why he made sure a guy like Garrett Nussmeier stayed on roster. These seasons. I mean, sorry, these seasons. This off season, just like this, where Coach Kelly can say all he wants. It is time for the players to coach themselves this season. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's time for the players to police themselves. It's time for the players to demand that accountability. You want to upset a coach? You want to make a coach feel like you're not giving enough? Okay. But don't you dare upset one of your brothers on that sideline, because they'll let you know it. Like, we didn't have enough of that last year. When you lose guys like Makai Wingo, who make sure that type of standard is there, when you lose guys like Greg Brooks Jr., who is doing really good with the cancer treatments, I've heard as well. I'm sure you all have heard at this point, thanks to Sam Spiegelman. But when you lose presences like that, you become a different team, a softer team, a team that just a little bit more loose standards, a little bit, just some things that aren't quite lining up as a team. And that's what you saw with LSU last season, where just a few things didn't quite line up, and then a complete lack of invention, lack of change, really, from Matt House, lack of understanding college football defenses, college football offenses from Matt House. He tried to get his guys to grasp complex NFL concepts defensively, and they were never going to get there. We knew if we just lined these guys up in man, we could have some good drives out of our guys, no matter what you talk about with the coverage. And we saw that. But when we went away from man, we were eviscerated. And then when you put a guy like Omar Spates in the middle over Whit Weeks, over Harold Perkins, whoever you want to say, spying the quarterbacks, or at least making up that huge amount of space in the middle, you got destroyed when it was Omar Spates. And so I'm hoping this team can figure it out this season with defensively under Blake Baker, because last year was just it was unacceptable. What ocean is that, bro? Mike Prima says, "What's up, Mike? You're always watching these things, man. Thank you so much for your support and for your tigerhood, my brother." This ocean is I'm not sure if it's the Pacific or if it's the Atlantic at this point. This is the Atlantic. Atlantic still. We're still in the Atlantic. Okay. But we will be crossing over in the Pacific at some point. Shit. Okay, I just got an interesting text my way. This is something my buddy AD asked me the other day. AD, I don't know if you guys know him. I'm sure you do. Most of you guys watching us do. AD Perkins 2113. They're on Twitter. Awesome dude. Been following us and supporting us since the very beginning. Like, just a true friend. Congrats on his new car as well. He got awesome new ride. My dude's big timing it over there. He's turned it into a real big shot. I just love that he's got a job that he loves, and just he used to be moved around a lot with his IT expertise. Now he's like staying at the same spot. I believe it's the hospital, Children's Hospital, and he's loving life right now. So our guy AD is just kicking ass. But something he asked me the other day. Have I heard anything about a new stadium for LSU football? And I'm like, what? AD, new stadium? Come on, man. It's kind of crazy. And then I was like, wait a minute. Someone was rumbling about that like 3 or 4 months ago. About, we need a new stadium. And I'm thinking, we need a new stadium? What are you talking about? But then when I really thought about Tiger Stadium logistically, it is a mess. It is a mess. Like, it is. There is a reason LSU fans leave at halftime. A lot of games they leave at halftime, no matter what the score is. Unless it's like LSU Alabama, unless it's LSU Auburn, those type of games, LSU Florida, and it's close. Like, if it is in any way, shape, or form not a good game or not against a top opponent, half of the crowd this last season, 3/4 of the crowd were gone after halftime. That is not because LSU were a terrible program. It's not because LSU were terrible. It is simply people will not get home until 4 or 5 in the morning unless they leave at halftime. Because the traffic, the small roads around that area, the lack of roads around that area. There's literally just like 2 roads, Nicholson and Highland. Like, you are fucked going into LSU, into Tiger Stadium to see a football game. It is a disaster, and I love it. It is a beautiful disaster. It is it's brilliant because there's a lot of times we get people listening and watching our post game, and they're like, "Dude, I'm stuck in the car, so I have nowhere to go, so I'm watching your post game, bro." Like, and I'm like, "Whoa, you're stuck in the car? What do you mean?" Oh yeah, you're leaving Tiger Stadium. Of course, you're stuck in the car for probably 4 or 5 hours here. And so there's always been, is there going to be a new stadium at LSU? Are we going to take down Tiger Stadium? Well, I mean, this is what, the 100-year anniversary of Tiger Stadium? Let me look that up real quick. Tiger Stadium broke ground on October 1911, and it opened officially, this is a great date, April 20th, 1912. Wait, no, that's Tiger Stadium, Detroit. I'm about to say, wait, what the hell? I was thinking that we're in the 100th anniversary, right? Let's see here. LSU football, better known as Death Valley. Tiger Stadium is the most dreaded road site in America. Don't you love that? Google literally has it is the most dreaded road site in America, right there on the top. Have drawn more than 15 million fans since 1957. I feel like that number is way higher than that. Come on. The East Stadium was built in 1926, so we're getting close to that. West Stadium, 1932. So the East Side, 1926. So 2 years from now will be that 100th year anniversary. Oh, no. Officially, it says right here. Tiger Stadium opened with a capacity of 12,000 in 1924. I swear to God, yeah, I knew this was the 100th year anniversary. Has to be. Yep. Broke ground 1924, opened November 25th, 1924. Let's see if we're playing a game on the 25th this year. Playing on the 23rd against Vandy, and then we play the 30th against Oklahoma. So, there's a 100th year anniversary for Tiger Stadium this season, and I don't think that's the time to announce, hey, we're gonna demolish this damn thing and make a new stadium. I think you take all that money from a new stadium, all those tax breaks and tax write-offs from the Louisiana government, state government, because the taxpayers will be paying for this stadium, right? The Louisiana taxpayers will pay for the stadium. Not one dime will be spent by the university for the stadium. So what I propose is, instead of using, a shit ton of money for that, for a new stadium that LSU does not need, how about you use that money to change the infrastructure, change the roads, change the logistics around LSU, make it easier for people to come into LSU. If it's possible, make a freeway entrance and exit right there next to LSU, as like just boom. I don't know how that could be possible, but you revamp the entire area to be more fan friendly, because it is one of the least fan friendly when you're talking about logistics. And we all know this as LSU fans. We all know this. Wow, this is so funny. Matt McMahon finally gets his stripes. You know, people have been shitting on Matt McMahon for the last 2 years. And what have you always heard from LSU Odyssey? Give this guy time. Give this guy time. Give this guy time. Like, just over and over and over. Give this guy time. Give this guy time. Look what you see him doing. Look what you see him doing. We don't usually cover other sports, but I just felt like it was so annoying to me seeing Matt McMahon get shit on for the better part of 2 years. And now he wins one game against Kentucky, and you know, a great comeback and all that, but like wins one game against Kentucky, and suddenly it's welcome Matt McMahon, welcome. It's so disingenuous. Oh, hey, buddy, no, those are my headphones. So disingenuous and just so strange, and I feel like that's what we're that's the scene that's what we're in now. That's the environment we're in, where it's very much a "what have you done for me lately" kind of thing, kind of world. And I get it, sports is the worst at that as well. But my God, this guy had 0 scholarship players, not even like 34 or 35 or whatever it was, 38 that Kelly had. He had 0. 0. And built that team from scratch. Incredible. Incredible. So Matt McMahon, we wanted to give him a big shout out that he finally gets the love he's been deserving of this entire time. You know, can you say he's earned the love and respect he finally before? No. But did he have a chance to, an opportunity to? No. So he just needed time. You see what Matt McMahon is doing with that program. You see someone like Trey Hannibal has superstar potential. Look, LSU basketball, LSU football, LSU sports is a team. We're a team-oriented program, but we're also a team-oriented university. We're also a superstar-oriented, superstar fostering university. We've got superstars all over the place. Angel Reese is one. You've got Livy Dunn over here. You got Jaden Daniels. You got Joe fucking Burrow. You got Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. I mean, Kevin Falk, Leonard Fournette. I mean, just the names go trickling off the tongue. And some of the guys that I consider stars that may not even be superstars for like the wider, planet Earth. They're superstars to us as Tiger fans. And so that just shows you how deep this goes. But when guys like Shaq, Odell Beckham Jr., Joe Burrow are representing your university, Livy Dunn, Angel Reese, I mean, LSU could do just about anything for college athletics at this point. If you think about who they have representing them, Ryan Clark and Marcus Spears on ESPN, the tippity top of ESPN as well. I feel like the global reach for LSU right now is at its apex. And I feel like that's only going to get bigger and better as LSU go into this new frontier of we saw what LSU could be at its ultimate every college football season, every college sports season in 2019 with Joe Burrow and what he did. And then you saw a little bit more of that with the women's basketball team in 2022. And you saw a little, 2022/23. Then you saw a little bit more of that with this men's baseball team and what the program, the powerhouse that Jay Johnson is building. When you take all of that into consideration and you combine the absolute voice, reach, and just overall power that LSU sports is going to have in the next decade, if we can keep these coaches in the same place, Kim Mulkey, Brian Kelly, Jay Johnson, Matt McMahon, incredible. And McMahon was always the one who was like, yeah, McMahon doesn't fit. They would do these memes where like it would be 3 guys that were like perfect or 3 cute daughters and then 1 like ugly daughter. And like they would do that to McMahon. And it was so fucked up. And I was always speaking out against it because it was wrong. And it's like I knew that's not how that would not be the pervasive view of Matt McMahon even a year from now. We go back 6 months later, Matt McMahon is being showered by LSU fans as like the new upgrade from Will Wade. And so it's like, where was that kind of narrative about Matt McMahon all along? I get it. He had 0 scholarship players. But because he had 0 scholarship players, wouldn't you cut that guy just a little bit of a break? Give him a little bit of time? My God. Cole Adams says, sup, Lon. Good time to be an LSU fan. Football recruiting, women's basketball, softball, baseball, gymnastics, and now men's basketball. Let's go. Andrew Whitworth on TV too now. Exactly. There's Tigers everywhere. Everywhere on ESPN. I mean, we even got who's that guy? Who's that guy that we always got there on college football or SEC Network? Oh, this is gonna kill me because I'm forgetting his name right now, and he's one of my favorites. Total LSU alum. Oh, killing me. And right now, Malik Neighbors is trending. Malik Neighbors is trending on Twitter. Love it. Love it. And you know what? Malik Neighbors has been trending on Twitter a couple times recently. A couple times. That's what I'm talking about. That is exactly what we're discussing here when we're talking about what LSU can do as a brand in the next decade. We're going to be winning championships. We've already won championships in the last year in multiple sports. LSU are going to continue to do that over the next decade. How many? I don't think there's really a point in setting a limit here, because I don't think there's going to be a limit. I think they're bust past that limit. When you look at the parameters and the rivalries, the potential, the strength of the coaching around them, the strength of the conference around them, for all these sports, I see LSU as being like the banner school. And that's not just like a biased thing. I'm also looking at it from the devil's advocate, outside perspective. Really, I would be afraid of LSU if I'm in the SEC. They've got the biggest talent pool. They've got the most accumulated talent. They've got the best staff in the SEC now. Like, if you're not afraid of LSU, you're stupid. We can have that offense every single season if we can get the quarterback and even just 2 top receivers aligned. You literally just give me 4 to 5 guys, top guys. Peter Burns, that's his name. Yep, Peter Burns. You give me a good starting 5, a quarterback, running back, 1 offensive lineman, top offensive lineman, and 2 receivers, and LSU can have the greatest of all-time offense year to year. I mean, is that crazy to me? Is that crazy to you? Because we just did that in 2019. We just did that in 2023. very limited outside of those guys. And look at what they put up. Look at what they produced. It's emphatic. It's unbelievable. And that's on the offensive side of the ball. Traditionally, LSU have always had top defenses. And there is no bigger time for a push to go back to that old school LSU kick your ass, rip the teeth out of your fucking skull type of defense than right now. Because we need it bad. Blake Baker knows how to coach that style. You saw that style at Mizzou. It wasn't perfect defense. They weren't the best defensive squad. They weren't the 85 Bears. They weren't, you know what I'm saying? But what did they do? What did they do? They attacked their opponent. They attacked their opponent from first quarter to last, and they did it with a calculated, hell-bent for leather precision. They didn't just, like, go at them with their heads cut off, like chickens with their heads cut off. They actually went at them with beautifully disguised blitzes from all over the field. Blaker. I used to call him Blaker as a joke because Blake Baker, say that 5 times fast. It's kind of difficult, but Blaker, it just kind of simplifies things. Blaker, you know. So if you ever hate calling him Blake Baker, and it's driving you nuts, just call him Blaker, and it just kind of solves everything. Cole Adams says, I think our defense is inside the top 35 this year. Your thoughts? I don't know if that's possible with what we have at coverage, with what we have at defensive line. We just don't know what those guys will produce. We could have a few All-Americans in some of these guys that I'm wondering about. We could have a few real top Tigers from some of these guys that we're questions about. We don't know how good they'll be, you know. We just don't know yet. But if I say, okay, I'll be on the conservative side, I'll kind of estimate where we're going to be, and I won't like say, oh, we're going to have, for example, you project how good last year's offense could have been, right? I was projecting that we were going to score 40 points in 8 games. I was going to project that Jaden Daniels was going to throw 39 touchdown passes. I was projecting that Jaden Daniels was going to throw 8 interceptions. I was projecting that Jaden Daniels would rush for 800 rushing yards. And then I did project that Malik Neighbors would be an All-American, and Malik Neighbors would have over 1,400 receiving yards and 15 touchdowns. Brian Thomas Jr., I did not predict him to have 17 touchdowns. I didn't predict for him to go over 1,000 yards. But I predicted him, I think, 700 and then 11 touchdowns. So I predicted those two to have a tandem. I didn't predict those two to have a tandem like that. And so it's kind of like you kind of gamble, but conservatively gamble. You don't like just go out on a total, complete limb, stick your neck out. You want to make sure you're getting some of this correct. You want to make sure you're actually, seeing into the future a bit here. Come here, buddy. And with the defense, I can't see us going from, 107th, 117th, whatever it was, to top 35. What I can see is us becoming a defense that is really good at something. We're really good at creating turnovers. We're really good at causing sacks. We're really good at getting tackles for loss, whatever it may be. I think we're going to be a defense that becomes really specialized at one or two things, attacks the whole game, stays aggressive, makes some mistakes, suffers maybe an injury here or there, which we really cannot afford defensively. But I think it's going to be an exciting defensive unit, and here's why. Because of the youth. You are going to see Blake Baker actually trust the youth in this season. You're going to see a guy like Deshaun Womack play like he should. You're going to see a guy like Toviano start out there at corner. You're going to see a guy like Ashton Stamps really getting the reps. You're going to see a rotation with Gabriel Relaford getting moments in there, getting time. You're going to later on when he's on campus, you're going to see Dom McKinley in there. You know, I really wish a guy like Quincy Wiggins had stayed at LSU because he is such an athletic frame that with Jake Flint, with Blake Baker, they could absolutely grind him, mold him into the right type of defensive line freak. But now he's gone out to Colorado, and it's kind of, we'll see. Hopefully he does great there. It would be awesome for him to do great there for Deion. I would love it for Quincy Wiggins to deliver on his potential. Just wish it was at LSU. And we lost some guys, some really strong depth options that people said, oh, well, they were a depth option. Yeah, in 2022 and 2023, under one of the worst defensive coordinators in LSU football history. Yeah, they were a depth option. Well, some of these guys, truth be told, probably should have been starters for us. Whit Weeks, is Whit Weeks just a depth option? I don't think so. I don't think Whit Weeks is just a depth option. I think Whit Weeks is a starting middle linebacker for LSU. Either him or Greg Penn, but not Harold Perkins. Get him out of that middle. Keep him on the outside. I'm not saying as an edge rusher on every single freaking play, because I don't believe in that with Harold Perkins. I think you need to move him around. But he is so damn effective coming off that edge. He is so damn destructive, destroying quarterbacks, ball carriers, and all manner of hoobaloo that comes in his path. He will wreck you. He will eat your face. And he's not leaving a second helping for anybody else. He will desecrate you off that edge. And just having him on the outside, he can cut back behind people, read and react, and come back inside anyway. He's fast enough to go sideline to sideline with such panache and ferocity. It's simply something else to witness with Harold Perkins. And I think with Blake Baker, you're going to see the best out of Harold Perkins this season. But I think to see the best out of Harold Perkins, you need to see Whit Weeks on the field. You know, it was very interesting when Whit Weeks started, I should say. Not only did he lead the team or get second in the team in tackles, Whit Weeks also, when he was out there, you saw the best from Harold Perkins and the best from Greg Penn III, didn't you? Because, let's be honest, playing linebacker in this day and age especially, you got to have the lungs to do it. You got to be able to run all game long. And not just run and get there, but you deliver hits at the end of these runs. Long bursting runs, sideline to sideline, and then destroy somebody. Punch the ball out, make a fucking play after a long bursting run across the field. That's why you see so many linebackers, you know, they're playing running back in high school. Why? You have to cross train to be able to do that at the next level, to read and react to the hips of a running back. Oh, there's the hole, but they're going to cut it back. I see that because I've done that before. Boom, I'm going to read that play. I'm going to meet you on the other side of this wash, eat your face. That's what it's about. That's why you saw guys like Harold Perkins, Devin White, Patrick Queen, Devon Keys, all these guys. What's in common? They're also practicing running back. They're also playing running back just as much as linebacker. Sometimes they just play running back their entire senior year. Hey, buddy. Come over here, Sage. Come here. Sage, come here, bud. And so I think with this group of linebackers, LSU have a group that is absolutely one of their best linebacking cores since in a long time. Since 2019, I guess you could just say, because or even, no, you could say 2018, because 2018 we had White, we had Michael Divinity, we had Patrick Queen, we had Damone Clark, a very young freshman Damone Clark, or maybe freshman Damone Clark. Who else was on that 2018 linebacking core? That linebacking core was sick, though. You had basically 2019 plus Devin White. You had LSU's leading tackler in 2020 and 2021, and someone who should have won the Butkus Award in 2021, Damone Clark, just being an absolute tackling machine. And he was learning everything from Devin White on that team. Since 2018, LSU has not had a more stacked, more promising, more top-to-bottom, fearsome-looking linebacking core. This group should win games for LSU. This group should make up for mistakes for that defensive line. Because that's how I'd be. That's exactly what I'd be telling them day one. Guys, this is going to be a different season. Our defensive line is short up front. Our defensive line isn't as thick through the interior as it could or should be. The speed of our linebackers are just going to have to make up for that with pure, unstoppable, irresistible force. Meaning LSU are just going to have to start kicking ass a lot more, a lot harder, and more brutal for us to survive in the SEC. LSU's defenders, any of the guys who are left from 2023, need to get it in their head and get it in their head now that what happened last year has to go 180. If you are soft on the field, you don't belong on the field. If you are hesitant on the field, then I'm going to hesitate to put you on the field. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to create that type of culture, that type of vibe where if you aren't going to deliver for LSU, you can't be out there. We're not going to waste our time anymore, because we have done that the last 2 seasons. We have wasted quite a lot of energy, reps, and time on some guys who don't give a shit about this program, and proved that as they walked out that door. There's a few guys I could name names, but I think you know exactly who I'm talking about. And we saw the before, middle, during, after with those people to prove that. I'm not just trying to be harsh. These are, and actually the dude that I'm thinking of is someone that I'm like, I've rooted for them against a lot of hate for years. Cole Adams says, I think some freshmen will have to get some playing time on defense. D-line will need breathers. Prayers, wide receivers stay healthy. Well, at the same time, wide receiver is I mean, who at wide receiver stays healthy? Who's our guy there? Who's the proven dude that's going to take LSU to the next level receiver? Who is it? Chris Hilton? Kyron Lacey? Because until I see them catching passes in traffic like they did in this last 2 years, rising above guys with a game on the line with a perfect pass in between both of your hands and you let it go through you like Chris Hilton Jr. against Ole Miss. You know, Chris Hilton Jr. stopping and just diving for a pass that he could have just walked into the end zone with. I mean, Hilton Jr. made some just dumb errors for a third-year football player. But if you think about it in the context of him being a 3-year football player, that doesn't really do him justice. This is a kid that, due to injuries, last year was basically his first season. Let's be real here. Last year was like his first season where he just got to play the game of football and actually just play. Here, you can drink, but you can't go running off with that. yes, the injuries, as Cole Adams says, Hilton was injured too much. Sure, last year was the reason I think he just didn't have his shit together. He had no rhythm, no chemistry with Jaden Daniels. His best play was the play before his drop against Ole Miss, where he made that catch and went like 60 yards. They put LSU in on like the 20-yard line or something, 25-yard line. And then stupid penalties, one by Malik, one by Brian Thomas Jr., send us back to make the game, probably screw the game up, because I think if we keep that ball in the 20 and Malik doesn't go for a false start, that ball's going to Malik for a touchdown. Ole Miss could not stop us. As bad as LSU's defense was, Ole Miss was probably worse. And that's hard for me to say. But they could not hang with LSU throughout that day. We just didn't have the ball enough. Ole Miss's defense, Ole Miss's defense was better than ours, obviously. That's quite obvious. I'll take that back. Point is, Chris Hilton really has a chance here. And I don't think you'll hear too many analysts say what I just said, speaking up for him. Yes, he had mistakes last year. He made some poor plays, showed a lack of effort at times. Pissed off Kelly at one point in one game where Kelly was like, basically like, get the hell off the field type of thing. But, and I really wanted to see more from him in that bowl game. Way more from him in that bowl game. But if really, this has just been Hilton's, like, almost his freshman season over again, really, because he hasn't played a full season. This was like his first, and he still had some injuries as well. I don't think Chris Hilton Jr. is going to be that number one guy. Kyron Lacey, can he be that number one guy? That's something I'm really iffy on. 8 drops over the past 2 seasons, and that's just official numbers. He really had about 10 or 11. Some that just were called bad passes against Jaden Daniels, but were actually just pure drops from Kyron Lacey, but weren't credited as such. He has got to clean that up. Most of those drops come on third down as well. And so it's like, dude, you've got to get your shit together on the drops. He's 7 touchdowns last year. 7 touchdown catches. That should show you that he's an important player in this team. He can be a very important player of this team. But we haven't seen it with these drops. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen it with some of the... I mean, we've seen some great blocking, for his fellow receivers and for running backs. But then you saw... I know everyone had his back on that play where he cost Malik the record, where he was blocking this guy and they called a holding. But if it may not have been a hold, but when you see this ref just itching to throw a flag and you keep engaging with a guy you don't even have to engage with anymore, just get in his way and like literally fall over, like Malik is gone anyway, he's scoring anyway, and you just keep engaging with him to look like a badass, and then you like really engage with him and hold just for a slight little bit, they're going to throw that thing every damn time because you're giving them a reason to. You're giving them a reason to exist. You're giving a ref a reason to look like they're doing their job. Like, don't do it. Lacey should have just disengaged and gotten in the dude's way. The reason I bring this up is because I feel like Kyron Lacey has been talk and a lot of look at what I'm doing and a lot of like I don't know how to explain it, but there's a lot of stuff that doesn't back up the hype, the vibe with action, with actual substance. Kyron Lacy was telling you and everybody back in 2022, his first season at LSU, that he was going to arrive and be the number one guy. That came far from happening. Even though we still threw him the ball on third down like he was our number one guy, only just to have one drop after another, costing us games like the A&M game. This last year, what does he say in the offseason? I'm the number one guy, blah, 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 blah. Malik and Brian make him surplus to requirements, even though he still caught 7 touchdowns and still played a pivotal role in some games. The point is, it's like if I were to be talking like I'm someone who's already won the Pulitzer Prize at my level. I feel like that's kind of what we've seen with Kyron Lacy. And I feel like Kyron Lacy has humbled himself this offseason. And through that humility, but also some confidence too, of knowing that, hey, I have done it for this team. I have actually caught passes for this team. I've caught touchdowns. I've caught touchdowns against Alabama. You're stealing my toast, buddy. You're stealing my toast. What? So now it's your toast, you little thief? You little thief? I saw you stealing my toast, huh? Stealing Daddy's toast. Oh, this little beast. Stealing toast from me, huh? Cannot believe this little dude. Unbelievable. Sage, 1 second. We gotta put all this shit away. Jesus Christ, dude. He just like stacked like literally 10 billion things right in front of the door. I don't understand what this kid does sometimes. Hilarious. Oh, Sagey. But no, I mean, I'm not ripping on Kyron Lacy. I'm not saying. Here's the thing. I'm not going to be like everyone else in LSU media, where they just say what you want them to hear at that time, so that you feel good and that you feel like, I love LSU, right? And I'm with you. I'm with the team. Rah, rah, rah. Like, I love LSU more than you could possibly know, because I have literally sacrificed my career climbing by keeping breaking news, big stories that I could have broken, that could have made my reporting career. I kept them off the headlines because I cared about LSU. This phone has a lot of secrets. A lot. And it's just funny to me that if even just 1 or 2 of these things had actually been posted at that time, some stuff would have been a lot worse for LSU when you're talking about Title IX and scandals and that type of stuff. And so it's just I would never want to, like, hey, this player's terrible, I'm going to go after this kid, blah, 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 blah. But I'm going to tell it to you straight. I'm not going to just be like, hey, the hype is Kyron Lacy is going to be the best. And so I'm just going to hype this kid up this whole offseason and just, like, basically lick that ass. No. Like, I'm literally going to tell you what I feel about Kyron Lacy. I think he's a good kid. I think he's done a lot for his community. I mean, we've seen that. I think he's going to continue to do that for the Thibodeau community. But I think he came in with a little bit of a vibe that was like, I've already done this. I've already been successful. And he did not fulfill that until this last season. And he really left the tank half empty, because obviously most of the passes went to Malik and Brian. But he still had quite a lot going his way. 7 touchdown passes, still some drops, still some bad drops at points in games that cost us 1 or 2 games. Not going to put 1 or 2 losses on him, but at least a share of a loss. And Chris Hilton Jr. the same. So you tell me, who's going to be that receiver? Who's going to be that Malik Neighbors next year? Who's going to be that Brian Thomas Jr. even next year? The freshman, Shelton Sampson, who dropped 2 touchdown passes in one game from perfect Garrett Nussmeier passes. I mean, I know he was nervous. First game in Tiger Stadium versus Grambling. You know you're so wide open. Just put it on me. I'm going to score here. Family watching, and you drop it. Like, I get it. I get it. He hasn't had a chance to atone since then. But I worry about receiver because last year you saw when you had to have it, it was automatic. Just every play was automatic from these receivers. Malik and Brian really fulfilled their potential and became as good as they should have been. I mean, they could have put up even more numbers. They were so damn good. I mean, if Brian and Malik came back next year, they could be out of sight as the 2 greatest receivers in LSU history, statistically and just performance-wise, just obvious-wise. And obviously, we know if they were to return next year, that literally puts LSU like inside the top 5. Like, LSU would be flying with those 2 coming back. They're not. They're not going to be there. So is LSU going to be more relying on like Mason Taylor, the tight end game, the dump down game? Or is someone going to step up that no one's talking about in the receiving corps? I think that name is going to be C.J. Daniels, the new transfer out of Liberty. You know, we haven't seen him put up big-time numbers, big-time anything against SEC competition. But C.J. Daniels, you know, he does have what he had over, let's see. I mean, he was a freak for Liberty's 13-1 season where they went to the New Year's Six Bowl. Okay. 1,000-yard season. What was it? 15 touchdowns. And Liberty's coach, Jamie Chadwell, claims LSU paid transfer wide receiver C.J. Daniels $300K, among other benefits. Okay. He told this to Ross Dellinger. According to Dellinger, Chadwell claimed that LSU paid Daniels $300K to come to Baton Rouge, while also paying for both a car and an apartment. Chadwell, this is the quote. He says, "Those guys would be all conference for us," Chadwell said, per the report. LSU paid for a car and apartment and like $300K. What do you do? Do any of you believe LSU paid $300K for C.J. Daniels? Because I don't. I know how much they're paying Harold Perkins. I know how much they're paying they were paying a guy like Mason Smith. I know how much they paid Jaden Daniels. C.J. Daniels is not making $300K. Like, period, end of story. Like, he was paid. But this Jamie Chadwell guy is straight up lying. And that is sad to see. That is sad to see that a coach would just lie about his player who has moved on. Like, shut your mouth. Your player chose to go somewhere else. Unless you're wishing him good and singing his praises, shut your mouth. Like, seriously, shut your mouth. And this came out 2 days ago, but I don't care. Had to say something about it. I really do think that C.J. Daniels could be that guy for LSU. When you look at the measurables, the raw power of this dude, I like what I see is from C.J. Daniels. And I think it's going to also be the receiving corps success or failure that all resides on how that freshman slash, well, I should say redshirt freshman class, how well they perform in year two. You know, Shelton Sampson Jr., Kyle Parker, these guys. Obviously, we lost Jalen Brown, but Kai Korean. We're going to need C.J. Daniels to have a hell of a year. Everybody, we will be back on later with another show where we're going to go even more into the defense than we just did with this receiving corps. Because I loved that someone asked me a question about the receivers, and we went down the rabbit hole. Take it easy, everybody. LSU Odyssey out. And if you haven't read our latest article or the other one, the 2 preview articles, if you love LSU, if you're just dying to know what's going on, what's coming around that bend with the Tigers, those 2 articles will get you fired up. Those 2 articles will get you dialed in. Check them out, my people.